Welcome to my yearly recap video for 2019. This video is focusing on the Devstreams, and then there will also be a recap video for updates and hotfixes just like I did with 2018. Now these videos do have timestamps and links to all the sources in the description and the pinned comment, so if you want to double check or if you want to go to one of the sections that they're talking about and share it, whatever you want, sources and links and timestamps are in the description of the video. But without further ado, here is the 2019 Devstream recap for Warframe. See you guys next time. Starting this week's recap off, we had Devstream 122. The first announcement was that Tennocon 2019 will be on the 6th of July, and the hype site and hype trailers for Tennocon 2019 are live, but you cannot purchase tickets at this time. Now, they also stated later in the stream that Tennocon 2019 will not have a big reveal or a big secret. Instead, it will have small reveals, as they will be focusing on the output of Railjack and that whole system. But we will be talking about that later on in this section. Now, they also showcased Tennogen Round 15 for PC and Tennogen Round 14 for console users. Once again, I will be talking about that later in this video. Now, something surprising, at least to me, was a roadmap for 2019. To start the roadmap off, in the top right hand corner of the screen, you will see a list. This is simply outlining chat's frequent messages for content they would like to see. So this includes reworks, prime trailers, raids returning, the Kingpin system, and lore. Once again, all of which are just simply frequent messages seen in chat. As for the actual roadmap, they did state 3 Warframes are currently in queue, out of the 9 Scott mentioned in Tactical Potatoes interview, and 2 of which are featured in an art piece by Kevin Glint. The first frame is the Wisp frame that we have no information on at the moment, and the second is Hildryn, who we will be talking about later on in this video. Now, Steve also stated that the focus for 2019 is on output, and they will be changing the ratio of tentpoll releases. Steve also stated that last year they spent a lot of effort to make a big demo at Tennocon, and that this year they will be trying to mix it up a bit. Now, early this year, they did state that the Deck 12 Exploiter event will be released for Fortuna. However, they had nothing to show on the Devstream besides a number of screen flickers that showed a destroyed Fortuna level, which is more than likely the Deck 12 incident. Now, following the Exploiter event in the timeline will be the Corpus Gas City Remaster, which will feature something called Amalgams. They also showcase screen captures of the Corpus and their labs that contain sentience, and the remaster will include a new game mode, new rewards and a new reward structure, new game types, new enemy types, and it will also have attacks from outside of the tileset. And it will also offer new lore. Now, all of which are planned before Tennocon in the winter and spring seasons, and of course that is the Canadian seasons. Now, moving on, they did say that a complete transformation of how alerts work at the moment will be coming, and this is titled Wolf of Saturn. It will also have new faces or characters involved in this system, and they also showcased a mock-up of what it may look like. And of course, this is just a mock-up, so it is subject to change. There will also be challenges unlocking daily and weekly that will unlock over the span of weeks. The Wolf of Saturn will also contain cosmetic rewards with some power bonuses inside of it. It will run for possibly 8 weeks, and the syndicate that's tied to it will reset. It will also have an animated webcomic within the game for the event structure, and it will provide lore behind the new character villain that is tied to the system. Now, they also stated that the new lore, of course, will be our cinematic quest for the year, and they stated that mocap for the quest will start Monday. They also shared a screenshot of Lotus or Natar's mother, and that is what you're seeing on screen. The resolution is rather weird, but we're going to have to put up with it. It truly does look amazing. Now, moving on, getting closer to summer, Warframe's Empyrean update will be released. Now, this is Railjack. It's just a fancy word for it, as Steve stated on stream. Now, the intended function of Railjack is to be a star chart-wide system instead of just Venus's orbit like we saw at the Tennocon reveal. So we will be able to build a ship, upgrade, specialize and customize the ship, and then go on missions across the star chart. Now, because we will be engaging with the ships and going inside of the ships, the Corpus capital ships will be receiving upgrades as well as getting additions of fighter classes. Now, as stated earlier, Tennocon 2019 will not have a big reveal, and instead they will be working on fixing and releasing and putting out Railjack instead of that big Tennocon surprise. There will still be surprises for Tennocon, but it will not be something as big as the reveal of Railjack that we saw in 2018. Now, Railjack will also have a new modding system that will be completely different from the current modding system that we are used to now. Now, moving into the fall, they will start working on a new tileset and faction, and it is titled Planes of Duviri, with planes having the same spelling as planes that fly around in the sky rather than planes such as Planes of Eidolon. Now, they also showed a concept art for this faction in this when they were talking about it, and of course that is up on your screen. The story for this faction will also tie into the current Warframe story. Now, in between the roadmap that I just mentioned, there will be reworks or upgrades to the current system and technical changes. First of which is the Melee 3.0 changes, which they have confirmed in the stream will be released over time in sections rather than a full load. Difficulty reworks will also be coming, with more insight arriving when they talk about or release the Wolf of Saturn, but there was no information on the stream. They also said the new player experience will be changed at some point, with a preview of said changes in the form of an image. So a more cinematic angle will be arriving in the future to the starting experience. Now, outside of the roadmap, they did show off one of the 3 upcoming Warframes in the game, that being Hildryn. Now, this Warframe is a bulky female frame that was built by Minky, who was the previous art director for Warframe, and the theme was set by Scott as a shield-based technical Warframe. According to Scott, she will use her shields rather than energy, and is tech-based. Hildryn will also arrive with a custom weapon that is not a primary, secondary, or melee, and is rather a heavy weapon, as shown on the screen. Now, trading will also see improvements, such as the addition of an extra trade slot, allowing players to trade full sets, and it will also have general tabs for what you want to trade. As an example, in the mock-up images, there is item, mods, or platinum. Now, an updated trade inventory screen will also be coming with the mock-up showing categories at the top, and a final screenshot just shows all the slots full when you're in the trading screen. Now, as I stated, these are just mock-ups. Moving on though, they did talk a bit about Archwing, saying that it will be getting an audit to see if it needs reworks, changes, or adjustments for Railjack this year. And in relation to the Archwing information, they did show off an Archwing glaive that is currently being made for the Railjack content. Now, in response to a question about challenging content and how they would go about trying to make more challenging content, Scott was talking a bit about how the game will always have its min-maxes. The new players that see the min-maxes take down orbs in 80 seconds, but recognize it and accept where they currently are in between the new players and the min-maxes. Scott did state afterwards, saying that the definition of challenge will differ based on every single player. It will never be completely the same. So to try and create one giant challenge for the whole community is something Scott doesn't believe should be done or is possible, and that they should continue creating challenge for each of the player types in the game rather than focusing on one specific type of challenge. Now, it has been mentioned beforehand, but to reinforce the message and repeat it from the previous episodes, raids are currently being worked on or being looked into in one shape or another. Scott also said that they have been looking at the ability to change mission node levels, so you can go to Earth, for example, and ramp it up to 30 to have a little bit of challenge, or maybe even go higher, but they are only looking at it at this stage. Now, events with Vandals and Wraiths will also be coming this year, so look out for that. Individual extractions in Endless missions are currently being discussed at DE once again, and may be a possibility this year. There is currently a PvP and PvE race for Warframes currently in the works, and as said by Steve, and it's more a Mario Kart interaction rather than a duel. Now, crossplay for Warframe, they did touch on it in the stream, and Steve did state that it is an incredibly risky task at this point, especially with the age of Warframe and its update cycles, its partnerships with each of the console developers, and at the moment it is not possible. And to finish up Devstream 122, Archgun Riven mods will be added to either the Arbitration store or drop tables, and sentient ribbons may return with a conversion blueprint that may be available through the arbitration vendor. Devstream 123. The first announcement came in the form of a new upcoming event for Warframe's 6th year anniversary. The event will feature 3 different mini alerts that will play out over the months of February and March. Upon the community reaching the community goal of killing a specific number of enemies during these weekend alerts, new double affinity, credit, and resource events will pop up during March. Individual players will also unlock 10 unique relics that will contain parts for Saturn Prime, the Nakana Prime, and Spira Prime. The first weekend starts on the 15th of February at 2 PM Eastern Time and is titled The War on Lancers. The individual reward comes in the form of 10 Meso S9 relics, and the bonus unlock, the community unlock, will be the double affinity weekend on the 9th and 10th of March. The second weekend comes in the form of War on Crewmen, and it starts on the 22nd of February at 2 PM Eastern Time. The individual player reward is 10 Axii and 6 relics, and the community-wide reward is a double credit weekend on the 16th and 17th of March. The third and final weekend alert comes in the form of War on Charges, and it will start on the 1st of March at 2 PM Eastern Time. The individual player reward will be 10 Neo S10 relics, and the community-wide unlock will be a double resource weekend on the 23rd and 24th of March. Now, those 3 alerts do not take into account the final anniversary alert, where players will receive a new deck skin. Now, we have no information on what the new deck skin will be, just that it will be a skin. And you can unlock that new skin by logging into Warframe between March 27th and the 13th of April. You'll also be able to acquire the previous deck's items during that period of time as well. Now, also in Devstream 123 was the announcement that the Chazakubra will be receiving a new precept, something similar to Necros' Desecrate, but not as consistent as his ability. Now, they also stated that the auto-install mod feature will be updated to provide more sensible mod suggestions. Rebecca also commented that solo extraction in endless missions with groups will be arriving in the next mainline update. The delay for weapon switching will also be more responsive for clients after the next mainline update, and the enemy damage reaction animations are also being updated. They showed a number of clips showcasing its current work-in-progress state. They also showed off Atlas's Deluxe skin in-game with his model. Jeff also commented that he will be receiving custom golems. I can't remember if we've covered it on this series, but there it is. He will be receiving custom golems with the Deluxe skin. They also showcased the in-game model of the Wisp frame, as well as her alternate helmet. And she will, of course, release after Hildryn, which is a Warframe we'll talk about in a second. Now, the Wisp frame showcase also gave us a look at her idle animation, and Jeff said during this period of time that she will be receiving her own unique running animation. Now, during a small segment of questions, Steve did comment that at least one more Orb Mother Heist will be released, and that they do have plans for Operator Melee. However, according to Steve and Scott, the community as a whole may not like how it goes down. As for the Warframe Hildryn, they showcased her unique Syndana that will be coming with her pack, as well as her signature Arc-Wing weapon that once again will be coming with her pack. This weapon is beam-based, and it does look pretty nice with its particle effects. And Rebecca also showcased her alternate helmet through a post on Twitter. Now, as for her abilities, for those who are unaware, she will be using her shields as an energy source. Hildryn does not have energy, and energy pickups will grant her shields and will kickstart her shield recharge. Now, for each level you earn on Hildryn when ranking her up, she will gain shields, as once again she does not have energy, and as for her passive, it is shield gating. Scott mentioned later in the stream that they are only applying this to Hildryn in the current state, just to see how it plays out with the community, and to see if they can fully release it across the board. Shield gating in regards to Hildryn will apply to both her base shields and her overshields. As for her ability set, her first ability is Balefire, and this is a hold to charge weapon that can be modded similar to an exalted weapon. Her second ability is titled Shield Pillage. It produces an aura that expands in a radius around the player, and it will return back to the player after a period of time, or at the user's will. This aura will absorb enemy shields and armor, while also removing status effects from the player and their teammates if the aura hits it. Her third ability is titled Haven. This is a toggle ability that drains Hildryn's shields, and it will also damage enemies that are within its range. For teammates that go inside its range as well, it will regenerate and recharge their shields. Hildryn will also have a unique dash animation similar to Limbo, where she produces shields that will pop out when rolling in whatever direction. Her fourth ability is titled Aegis Storm. This is a aerial mode or a hover mode, and it will create pillars that will either deal damage to them or simply crowd control them. The higher the player floats, the more damage will be dealt to the pillared enemies, however the range of the ability will be reduced. In the opposite case, where Hildryn is close to the floor, her ability will be focused on crowd controlling, and the damage will be reduced, however the range will be increased. Now, while using her Aegis Storm, the player can use Hildryn's other abilities, with the exception of the second ability. There was also a small little peek preview of the Optical Vandal, and based on Rebecca's comments, there will be an upcoming event that will reward it. Moving on from Warframes, they showcase the Railjack dojo dock that players will have to build in their clan dojo. This will house the Railjack ship and will also be able to customize and perform maintenance and upgrade our ships in this room. Each player will have their own Railjack. It will appear in this dojo hub. However, you will have to be in a clan to upgrade and have a Railjack ship. New cosmetics were also showcased, and they can only be earned by playing the game. They cannot be purchased via platinum or credits, and they are cosmetic foot trails or body effects such as smoke, blood, electricity, and more. Also tied to those new cosmetics will be a new emote that will showcase an accolade that the player has earned. The team also showcased an upcoming replacement to the current laser doors that will be arriving in the Corpus Gas City Remaster, showcasing obstacles and patterns that will be generated. According to Scott and Steve, upon successfully passing the lasers, the player will receive a small gameplay boost, and the lasers won't knock down or knock back the player upon hitting them. They also showcased more of the Corpus Gas City Remaster, and due to the case that we've seen most of this footage beforehand, I will leave links in the description down below to the timestamp sections of the showcase if you do want to see all of the footage. They also commented that a number of new set mods will be coming for the Corpus Gas City Remaster that can be obtained in that area. They will be the Kestrel, Raptor, and Spider mod sets. For a full screenshot, there was a collection posted by a Reddit user, Candace Camera, and that is up on your screen right now. Now, Dee also asked the Design Council to provide suggestions on 2 new Kavat breeds. As for Melee 3.0, we all know that it will be coming in sections, and they showcase Phase 1 in Devstream 123. So Phase 1 will include new visual and sound effects, as well as the directional ground slams and quick melee. Now, quick melee will be simple. If you use your melee button while your weapon is equipped, you will go straight into the melee mode, and you can start your combos from there on out. And if you shoot while meleeing, that will simply push you into your gun mode. It will be an instant switch. Now, Phase 1 may possibly come out as early as next week, so be prepared for those changes. In reply to a tweet, Steve did state that Phase 2 will contain the whole Tenno Rage channeling rework 24, with the first showcase being that of a high poly render of Nyx's Deluxe skin. We also had a short preview of the Lotus UI theme that will be coming soon. They did joke about it releasing sometime on Mother's Day. That seemed to be more of a joke than an actual release date. Now, they also talked a bit about a UI screen update for Warframe abilities, where it will have unique tabs of the Warframe abilities itself, where if the player hovers over it, it will show a short video, as well as the stats for the ability itself. This UI update will also contain a tips section in the ability screen, so any pertinent information will be applied to it. We were also showcased new operator hair, as well as Hildryn's alternate helmet, and the Tennocon 2019 emote that projects the Tennocon 2019 glyph, which will be available in the Tennocon 2019 digital pack. Now also in the Devstream was a bit of a breakdown of one of Steve's tweets that was released during the week. For a full screenshot of that, that's up on your screen, but for things that they commented in the stream, they said that all of these are subject to change and only some of them are currently in active development, such as the wall run animation and Arcwing controls. Now the team also commented that they do plan on streamlining some of the old systems in the game to keep it up to standard, but only those two are currently in development. Now, as we have already covered on this channel and in previous episodes, the Plains of Eidolon will be receiving a visual overhaul in a future update. Now, with that visual update, it will contain lighting changes that will be applied to both the Plains of Eidolon and the Orb Valis, but we will also be receiving bounty vendors in the Plains of Eidolon, as well as new enemies, new mods, and of course that lighting update. Now, one of those enemies was showcased in the Devstream, that being the Grineer Thumper. Now, we previously saw it in a Devstream last year, but we now have a showcase of that in the Devstream in the Plains of Eidolon. So that was just thumping around and slamming near Rebecca when she was trying to showcase the next thing, Limbo Deluxe's skin and kit. Now, we did get a higher quality version from A.K.A, who is the designer of the Limbo Deluxe skin and its deluxe pack on Twitter, and that is panning on your screen right now. So we will be getting the deluxe skin in the next mainline update, as confirmed by the team on the Devstream, and it will contain a throwing knife skin, a Sugatra, and a Syandana. Now, the Wisp Frames custom movement was also showcased in the Devstream while they were walking around the updated Plains of Eidolon, showcasing its shadow updates. And yeah, it will be floating above the ground. That was confirmed in a previous Devstream. But Pablo did confirm on Twitter that this moveset will only apply to the Wisp. Now, for console players, in regards to that Plains of Eidolon visual update, it actually runs at 60 FPS on the base Xbox One. So that's pretty good information for you guys. Now, they were also talking about two-tone energy colors coming to the game with a screenshot preview, but there is no ETA on when that will be arriving. Jeff stated that players will be receiving ghoul weapons at some point in the future, but it was a pretty quick question. New mods will also be coming in the future, and they will be our basic mandatory mods that we have right now, but they will have a added stat on top of them that applies to our Warframe, with one of those examples applying a movement speed buff. Now, they did comment that you can only have one of these mods equipped at a time, and the base stat, that being for the weapon itself, will be a reduced version of our current variations of those mods. Now, in regards to the Corpus Gas City Remaster, we have seen a number of tiles showcased in previous Devstreams, but alongside those, Steve has stated that new lore and new enemies and whatnot will be arriving alongside them. We finally saw a preview of those enemies in this Devstream, and they will be amalgamations of Corpus and Sentient units, and they will be a new faction. Now, each of these enemies will have their own unique effect and added bonus. One of those was that they can regenerate their own health if they are left to be idle. In regards to primary weapon kit guns, we have seen them comment on that previously, but the question was brought up in this Devstream, and no one seemed to know what was going on with them, so we have no further information in regards to that, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Now, if you do remember, DE asked the Design Council to provide suggestions for the next two Kavat breeds, and one of the suggestions that they seem to be dead set on is that of a Vampiric Kavat that, of course, has a Vampiric skill set. Did have Devstream 125. The first showcase included the shotgun skin coming in the next deluxe bundle, and it will possibly be for the Tigress. There were also talks about the male operator hairstyle packs coming soon, but they are currently in development, and Rebecca did say on Twitter that the hairstyle on your screen right now will be a part of that male operator hairstyle pack. Secondary energy colors will be unlocked after using a former on a Warframe or weapon or anything with a polarization slot, and items that don't have that extra slot will have the secondary energy color unlocked by default. The option is currently in a work in progress state, and the preview provided on the Devstream failed to show the effect. For the Wisp Warframe, her alternate helmet has now received a cloth that trails down her backside, a design choice that has contention between Rebecca and the others, but the design was always planned to have this cloth, and the clothless version had been showcased instead of the complete product in the previous Devstream. The team also provided a screenshot of her signature primary weapon, however no further information had been given outside of the model's showcase. They also previewed a Kavat armor set that will be arriving in her bundle as well. Equinox Prime was revealed, so we got a look at her default state, her night and day state. We also got the announcement that she will be coming with an armor set, a Syandana, the Stradivar Prime, and the Tipido Prime, all of which were shown on the Devstream, and as for how to build her, she will only require 4 parts. For those curious about what the 6th year anniversary Dex item will be, well, it's a Lisette skin. They also spent the latter half of the stream walking around the visual overhaul of the Plains of Eidolon, and while they were at it, they also showed off the conservation system's floofs, as well as a brief overview of what we could capture, that being Kawakas, Kondroks, and a new unknown species. Steve also said the visual overhaul will hopefully be released within the next 3 weeks. The Atlas Rumbler skins also had a moment to shine, being showcased with their new visuals that are tied to the Atlas Deluxe skin. Jeff also mentioned that there was an internal discussion about the future of Umbra Warframes, but there is no information to share at the moment, outside of there is discussion between the team, so there isn't any confirmation outside of that. Rewards for the Exploiter Orb Mother may be expanded in the future, but nothing is guaranteed. And the final note, the mod packs will be getting changes where instead of being RNG dependent, each pack will have set mods that go in line with the theme of the pack. There is no ETA on these changes due to how ingrained they currently are in the game, but when we do get them, they will have specific static mods. Devstream 126. The first announcement was that the console release of the Plains of Eidolon Remaster will hopefully be sent into certification this week, so look out for that. Scott also talked about reworking and tweaking Vauban. I'll play that now.
He is the Trapmaster engineer. He was primed a while back, and we gave him a little bit of a mind layer update. We changed Tesla a bit.
Rework light.
Rework light, LA.
Yeah, too light.
Too light.
Too light.
So what does that mean?
I think the biggest kind of negative is the game has kind of moved on from him. So like pure CC, which is mostly what he does, is kind of been overshadowed by CC plus damage. A lot of the newer Warframes offer both in kind of one power, where a lot of his do not offer that. He's got a bunch of overlapping stuff as well, and a bunch of his utility stuff has kind of moved on from what the game used to be.
Right, like the stationary aspects.
Yeah, a lot of his stuff is very stationary, very small focused, very single target focused.
Hallway simulator back in the day.
Yep, so I think a lot of those powers suffer from just the evolution of the game. So he is, there's a document open. It has some pie in the sky ideas about a bigger rework. I think it's a total kit redo versus just like touching up the current powers. So I think there's going to be, some of the powers will probably refer to some of the abilities that were there before, but just touched up and updated to fit the kind of current speed of the game. One of the ideas I'm playing with is like combining the Tesla balls with the rolling drones that we have as AI in the game, so they would actually roll around and stay with you.
So you got like Octavia's little rolling thing, but
but the smaller ones that we
plan.
So looking at that kind of thing and giving them, I guess, more utility and basically making it more lethal combined with
more ballsy.
With his CC abilities.
The deluxe skin for Nyx was also showcased in-game, however there is no ETA for it. The Atlas Deluxe skin cosmetics, on the other side, will possibly release this week on PC. Concept art pieces for Garuda Deluxe cosmetics were also shown, with a Syandana and Warfan skin. Also, a new Warfan was shown through concept art with an attached Sugatra. 2 new ephemera are coming. One will be available for a limited time as a new addition for Easter. That is called the Spring Step, and that will have Easter eggs trail behind the player. The second will be tied to an achievement that is the Eidolon version, which Rebecca further commented saying that the achievement could be along the lines of 100 Eidolon captures or capture an Eidolon without dying. The Gas City Remaster and the new Amalgam enemies were also shown once again and might release within the next month on PC. The Warframe Wisp is still in a work in progress state with more custom animations still in the works, but she will also not float when using her melee weapon. She will not be coming with a quest similar to previous frames due to the investment needed, and DE has previously and once again repeated they are investigating other means to provide lore about these characters. Rebecca also provided a description for Wisp, where she described her as the master of portals who can summon from a Wisp dimension. As for her kit, the passive makes Wisp invisible when airborne. Her first ability can place 3 varying reservoirs that provide players that go near it with a buff based on which reservoir has been placed. The buffs are health, speed, and a zapping CC effect, which can all be applied at the same time. Her second ability projects a shadow of herself that is sent in the direction you were aiming, while also taking aggro from enemies nearby. Wisp can also teleport to the shadow if recast within a specific time frame. Her third ability, if cast, can project damaging energy from any placed reservoir, with each reservoir having its own damage type. And her fourth ability opens up a portal to the sun where a beam is projected in front of the player. Pablo also expanded on Wisp's ability set on Twitter. Quick Wisp tidbits. Her 2 draws enemies to attack it. Teleporting to it blinds enemies and gives you a short invulnerability so you don't get obliterated. Her 4 deals more damage as you hit the same enemy, to help with the common scaling issues of pure damage abilities. Next up was Scott in reply to a question. He said he is currently wanting to make the 3rd Orb Mother fight a combination of the 2 current fights, and they concluded the stream with a discussion on the topic of K-Drive versus Arcwing, with the focus being more on Itzel's Blink. Now, I will play that right here because I do believe you should hear the full discussion.
We had actually a couple questions about K-driving as well. This is like the quintessential fun versus function argument, I think, right now in Warframe, because K-driving, it has a progression system.
There was an actual argument, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty intense.
Argument.
Oh,
right. Because one of the more popular questions in the forum thread is always, are you going to change K-drives to be as fast as Arcwing? Because, you know, fundamentally, if you have your It's-All on and you need to get from point A to point B.
I'm just going to nerf the shit out of this.
Nothing's going to be faster than this.
This
is...
Like
enjoy this while you can, because this is going away.
No. Is that a beer? He doesn't mean it.
He doesn't mean it.
I 100% mean this.
No.
You can quote me when I remove this, because...
Oh, I think I broke something. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Dev Build.
Yep, sorry.
That's all right. You already nerfed it.
Boom.
There you go.
With the power
See?
of the mind.
Done.
Done. No. Right. No, chat. We'll take a look at that after. But it is almost 3 o'clock now, so I just did want to ask about, like, are we going to speed up K-drives, or is it going to always just be...
We're going to end on that low note?
No, we're not ending on a low note.
Nerf it all.
It's up to
The
the...
game crashed. Scott said he's going to
Nerf it all.
But there'll be cinematic quests very soon.
Fear not. It's always up to the player to decide what is fun over function. If you want the It's-All pace, that's your choice to do that. If you want to...
Until Scott says otherwise.
Until
No,
Scott
but
says-
the problem is if you like coptering back in the day,
Yeah.
if it was very limited to a very limited piece of gear
Yeah.
that added that ability.
Yeah.
So basically, we're telling players now, if you want that speed,
Yeah.
you must take this Arcwing.
Right.
And I think that's game breaking, and I think that removes choice from the game, and I think
Interesting.
that it shouldn't be the only be all end all that we say. Like, if you want movement speed that we're requiring in the game, you have to take this Arcwing. I think that's terrible. So eventually, that's going away.
I will. Steve.
Yeah.
Let's do a flat price.
Who wants Equinox Prime? Cheer in chat if you want Equinox Prime.
No.
Remember
Well,
Plat.
I think if players like transparency, so if you want to be on the inside of our arguments, this is kind of the argument we're having.
Well, we haven't had this conversation with the dev team yet.
Yeah, so
And of which Scott is a member. He's a card-holding member. I think some of the problems are it so feels required when you have an open world with only one exit point. And so I think that if we were going to do that, or when we were going to do that, I think we also need to solve some of the problems of getting a bounty and having to traverse with nothing to do for long periods of time.
Sure. Yeah.
And so other games, I think we'd have to pair some limitations with some more flexibility.
yeah, this is
When we did Valis, our original design was you'd be able to merge at different points.
right.
And we never accomplished that goal. So So there you go. There's mom and dad's view. So.
All right, so Chad is saying rest in peace. It's all right. That is not the takeaway right now. It's you are like a wrecking.
Kind of seems like a
beer.
takeaway.
The beer was a. No, I know.
You don't disagree with me.
It's all died for you, Ruben. There you go. That's going to be the meme now. But no, that's not the case. We will be going over the conversations that we have internally about this.
Now, after this was said in the stream, the community did share their concerns, but Scott did reply to a number of them, which read, "Instead of nerfing things that are popular, buff other options, make it a contest. The mentality of nerf this to lower the bar needs to go, buff what doesn't compare. I don't even agree with Scott's reasoning, but I don't agree with the conclusion. I'm not going to attack you for spitballing on a dev stream, it's the whole point of it. But please don't nerf this damn thing. It sets a bad tone for everything else that's popular or good." Where Scott replied, "Like bullet jump emerged from coptering, we will look for systemic change that won't limit player choice to one Arcwing." Another player said, "Hey, the only problem with K-Drives is the speed mods don't stack. We all expect to get double gains, and as such, standing grinding for them felt wasted. I think most players would be happy if they started affecting each other properly instead of a separate stat." Where Scott replied, "Hey, we can have a look at that." Scott also made an individual tweet, "Really great discussion about the state or Arcwing has come from my desire to nerf Glint. Arcwing is a big part of Railjack. Arcwing will go under major changes with Railjack. Please keep the conversation civil and I will read as much as I can. The desire is to lift the whole." Where one player replied, "Oh come on, it's not like only Itzel is better transport than K-Drives. You would need to nerf Void Dash, Wormhole, even regular bullet jumping is more viable than K-Drives." Where Scott replied, "Thanks for the list, makes my life easier, now where is my bat?" Another player replied, "Maybe just adding a short cooldown of the ability would suffice. I love Itzel as it currently is." Scott replied, "Maybe that's enough." His final reply was to a player saying, "I cannot see an outcome to this discussion that does not result in some sort of Arcwing total ability overhaul. The fact that only one Arcwing has a movement ability seems in retrospect like a tremendous oversight, and simply nerfing one is punishing it for succeeding." Where Scott's reply was, "Product of a different time, before open worlds." And that does conclude Devstream 126. We had Devstream 127. Now, Tennogen Round 16 will consist of the following operator cosmetics: the Aurus Ear, Garusu facial and ear accessories. You'll also have the following Warframe skins: the Frost Ion, Korra Mithra, Valkyr Mithra, and Wukong Mithra, the Nyx Aurus and Nyx Technocyte skin. For helmets, there is the Frost Manta Z, Hydroid Karkanos, and the Korra Laval. For the Sciendanas, there is the Diabolo and the Senvictus, and for weapon skins, the Nakana Ungulata and the Scopus Polearm. The Mesa Immortal skin will also be in Barrow's stock soon. Also announced was Wukong is being reworked, but they had nothing to show, and information will possibly be shown next Devstream. The UI 3.0 rollout continues with updated screens for the Syndicate terminal that will now display all Syndicates in-game and allow fast travel straight to Cephalon Samaras. The Relic Refinement screen will be updated in both functionality and visuals. Players can now continue to refine an already refined relic. Check the Ducat value of a prime part by hovering over the item. Pablo also expanded on Twitter with a number of posts where he said, "More info on the Relic screen. You can hover over rewards to see how many you have, no more having to switch back and forth between Relic and inventory screens. You can see the ducat value of items. You can refine relics directly from navigation, and we are looking to make it work in-game as well. The screen will list relics you don't have along with their drop sources. We are also reworking the relic reward selection screen, but wasn't ready on time for stream. This is a mock-up to give you an idea of what it will look like. You will now get 5 traces when people select your reward instead of just 1. But mock is outdated." He also replied to a person's tweet where he said, "And the lines and icon above the rewards will show the rarity of said rewards." And the final screen that will be getting updated will be the market screen. Now, in regards to the stats being showcased on the screen, by default, the team worked out that you can press tab to display the stats of the weapon when you're hovering over its blueprint. Continuing onward, post-processing will be updated for the Orbiter, and you will get clear colors of what your Warframe would look like in-game. They displayed the previously proposed dual energy and emissive color selection during the stream, where players will have access to separate color options for Warframe emissives and that of your projected energy ability colors. Now, in the case of Chroma, he will only take into account the first color selection. Next, Deluxe, her Shotgun, her Syandana, Wisp, and the Gas City Remaster will release with the Jovian Concord update next week, which will be the mainline update. The Korra Deluxe concept art was shown as promised, and that is up on your screen, including what Venari will look like. Nightwave Season 2 and upcoming changes were also discussed, with changes in place to reduce the grind, force multiplayer challenges, and the fear of missing out. And those changes do follow, alongside information about the Wolf and a catch-up mechanic.
When we were posting about the stream that it's happening, we said we would be discussing Series 2. So with Nightwave, Series 2 is coming, well, Series 1 is ending at the earliest May 15th. So anyone that's trying to plan anything around Series 1's time, at the earliest is ending May 15th.
That's right, yes.
So that is one date that we know for sure.
So you got a couple weeks.
You got a couple weeks.
Get on.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about some changes coming with Series 2. Now, Series 2, one thing we're going to do is a catch-up mechanic. So basically, these are the 6 top-level posts. There will be a full write-up with everything detailed out, probably around May 15th, as we just mentioned that date. But this is just the preliminary information for everyone of what we're definitely doing. So catch-up is essentially if you miss an act.
Yeah, we got a lot of
catch-up.
feedback
Catch-up.
from Series 2. So Series 2 is going to be a different story. Series 2 is going to be a lot less grindy.
Yes.
Series 2 is going to have a lot less fear of missing out. We want to kind of take our foot off the gas for how Series 1 turned out. We didn't do that mid-Series 1 because, as you know, we launched simultaneous on all of our Warframe platforms.
Yeah. So
that really limited our ability to do a lot of in-flight fixes, although we did a few here and there.
Yep.
So that's the kind of the general thrust is to reduce the endless mission grind, to reduce the forced multiplayer stuff that a lot of people didn't like. And
there's a few different types of challenges.
So basically,
there's a lot of different challenges, and we've been trying to listen to all your feedback and really appreciate it.
Yep.
And I think if I had to rank what I heard as negatives was this is too much pressure and making me feel burned out.
Yep.
That these mission types, or that's too many bounties, or that's too long for an endless mission.
all taken care of.
This cred amounts maybe not enough for how much time I have to put into it. What would be the other one, Scott, we were looking at as well, is kind of the big bright,
Well, you've
bright
actually
fires.
reduced the acts. So basically what's happened is
Right.
Series 1 had 7 weekly acts and 3 elite weekly acts per week.
Yep.
It's been reduced to 5 weekly acts and 2 elite weekly acts per week, worth the same amount of standing. So you
Worth
won't,
the same amount. So you have to do less to get the same amount.
That's the less is more one.
less is more.
Less is more. And also then the length of some of the challenges I think were really difficult for people.
Yeah, so-
Don't even take as much time.
Yeah, 60 minutes is down to 30, the 40 waves are down to 20, 10 bounties is down to 5 different bounties, 10
Yes.
conservations down to 6 different conservations,
yes,
and
yes.
clanmate acts now includes alliance members, so those are, and then of course we have new acts coming as well, and then another pretty major thing is the way lore and time-limited nature of the wolf is handled. So a lot of people have wolf anxiety because they don't know if he's
I have
gone.
wolf anxiety.
I have wolf anxiety every day of my life. They don't know if he's gone for good after Series
He's gone
1.
for good.
Yep.
The answer is no.
Oh.
He's not gone for good. He's just more rare, and I think our plan has always been to have kind of a big sort of finish with him, so that there's a high degree of availability at the end of the event.
Yes. And I believe there is even a plan to incorporate the wolf as a on-demand threat in Series 2 using some evergreen rewards as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Is that,
I've heard that as well.
is it true? Is it a fact?
Yeah.
Tell me, tell me.
Says the rewards guy. Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, you've heard that.
It's a possibility.
Absolutely.
I heard an absolutely from Steve. And
And for me,
Maybe. Absolutely maybe.
absolutely maybe. Anyways, he'll be around more.
he'll be around more. Okay.
Series 2 will also feature a new infested shoulder piece armor set, and the new war will not release before Tennocon. Melee 3.0 remains in development. The contests for the Operator Mask were shown with their progress shots, the two being the Norg Mask and the Lotus Mask. Ephemera drop chances will be increased within the next update, once again the Jovian Concord. If players watch Tennocon live, they will get an exclusive ephemera that is shown on your screen right now. A few Railjack previews were shown with a fighter animation loop, a work-in-progress UI screen for Railjack management, and a short video of the atmosphere for one of the Railjack locations. Scott also talked more about the Itzel change, or nerf, whatever you want to title it as, and he said the
Really
following.
good time to bring up the It's All, because Archwing plus It's All in Scott's finale last stream.
It was a good finale.
It was a great finale.
There was lots of great feedback from it.
Sorry.
No, there really was. The intent, my problem with its current design is the way you can spam it.
Right.
And the way it's basically you can infinitely spam across the world. I'm not just going to remove one power and go ha ha. It's going to be looking for a systemic way to kind of put that back into the game so that you don't have to just choose that one Archwing to get that sort of mobility.
To cope with,
Yes,
cope with that.
it is not nerfing a single power. It will be how can we put that either on all Archwings, or how can we address the problems that it's trying to solve.
It's trying to solve that. That's right.
So.
And I think what's really great is that.
And thank you for all the constructive feedback that came in.
Yes.
Even the
see
ones
so much
that
of it.
called
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, there's a lot of constructive
The
feedback.
chat's just
caps,
full
all
of
caps,
the chat's just
constructive
full of
feedback.
constructive
Yeah,
feedback
it's
right
like
now.
the worst thing to ever happen to Warframe, but also like not like the way people were reacting to it. So
Yeah, it was also very vague what I had said. So
Yeah.
And we will be upfront with what our intentions are.
yeah.
It's not like
We
you
want- we
don't
wanna
have
have
to pay F for respects just yet.
Yeah.
I see a lot of Fs in chat. It's premature for that. All right.
They also showcased the new game mode that will be releasing with the Jovian Concord, and the official Devstream recap states the following about the game mode. Survive the all-new Endless Disruption Horde mode. Collect keys from fallen amalgams to activate corresponding artifacts, then protect the artifacts from the oncoming masses of enemies. Each artifact will trigger a random debuff or buff. Unlike mobile defense, players will be able to activate multiple artifact defense terminals at a time, also increasing the reward tier in the process. That means rewards skew depending on how many artifacts you can protect. Instead of going A, B, C, you can go straight to B in the first round. The game mode will also arrive with a clan operation, and scoring will be based on your time. The game mode will be locked behind the completion of quests such as Natar and the War Within for lore reasons. Devstream 128. First, they showed off again the experimental finishes that Steve previously tweeted out, but on stream they did state that it would only occur on the final enemy of the fight, and that the final enemy would be a rare enemy type that will have, quote, extended drops. Rebecca also commented that UI fixes and improvements to the screens updated in Update 25 may come out in the upcoming weeks, but we'll have to wait and see. The devs also said the following in regards to Update 25's farming nerf.
So at New Hairstyle, please explain in detail why the Necros, Hydroid, Korra, and looting interaction was suddenly nerfed despite being in-game for years. So that's the first question. So I think that is the trickiest part about having a 7-year game, is something that has been in the game for so long to decide it's a bug and then change it. So if we go into like our message archives, there's a lot of, but it's been in the game for so long, we should just leave it. And typically we do. And this is one of the cases where we didn't because of the Chessa changes with the double dipping. It was basically decided that the Chessa loot shouldn't be able to loot a body that's already been looted.
That's right.
And then someone noticed, well, all loot powers to a degree do that.
Double loop.
Yes, from a body. So single corpse, you can get 2 loot rolls from it. That's no longer the case. So are we going to roll it back? If not, are we going to be changing some other things just to do the hug kick mentality? What are our thoughts on this?
You're using the raw internal lingo.
I know.
The hug and kick. It doesn't really sound so pleasant.
Welcome to Devstreams, where things are pleasant.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Scott and I were talking about it yesterday as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I can see him smacking his lips here.
I know, wishing he had a beer
Wishing he had a beer.
instead of a coffee.
I would say I don't know if you're going to get a strict rollback, but we're gonna look at it more closely. You have been heard, and we do take it seriously. I don't think we're going to improv the solution on the stream here right now.
Great.
So
Yeah, people don't like when I do that.
we don't like when Scott does that. Also, I think reasons for that would be we don't like when people are pushed into a corner for what type of loadout to optimize too much. We'd like people to have more choices in the game, and that's generally where the spirit of nerfs and fixing old bugs comes from. So that is why we do these insane things and piss you guys off. But we'll definitely look at it again. And rather than letting something get so many kicks at the can, is it better to kind of rise all boats or something like that?
There might be something there.
Yep. Yep.
A new work-in-progress Warframe had also been shown in-game, however it was only animations and visuals. This Warframe being the runner frame that had previously been mentioned in Magamu's interview with Steve and Rebecca. This frame has a unique mode with a placeholder named Redline that retracts and modifies parts of its body. As for the animations, they previewed a clip of its agile animation, the concept art, and during a live preview of said animations, its first ability that, according to Rebecca, will increase the frame speed, but that speed will be throttled with a UI segment. Another Warframe had also been shown via concept art and a background, and Scott said this frame likes to eat and digest things and carry them around in its void stomach, and commenting that it is a Kirby frame. They also said that the weapon shown in its concept art will also be available for players to use. Primary kick guns still have no ETA. Series 2 of Nightwave, as teased multiple times previously, will be Infested themed. Melee 3.0 Phase 2 or Phase 3 won't be released before Tennocon. There are no plans to rework the game's damage system, to which they reference the previous attempt to rework the damage system. They had a minor discussion on rewards, which I'll play for you now.
So I think the R word, rewards, comes up basically every time we release something new, every time we rework something old, because it comes down to, once they get everything the new has, what are they going for? And arcanes have a longevity because of the way they're designed. You need multiples, they have RNG. Ribbons have longevity because of the way they're designed, despite issues you may have with them. And the question becomes, what is the next school of that is going to feel like an interesting reward chase for Warframe? And I think we really are under...
And finding those, I think, breaks up people's builds, right?
Yes.
So that changes what people want to put in
Yeah.
their frames and their weapons and stuff. So
Yeah.
when we have aha moments and those show up, then
Yeah. I think the Exilus slot was the last one we did. That was really kind of changing to build variety. Interesting. What are you going to put in
the
the
Umbra stuff too.
Umbra stuff as well. So
Umbra Forma from the last Nightwave.
Nightwave, yep.
So there's little things we're doing. I don't think there's anything major.
like there's no major school of rewards. Like in
no major reworks of the base system.
Understood. But
Even some of those amalgam mods just having kind of forces a little bit of a different build style, right?
Yeah.
So
right, like choosing between serration or amalgam serration, because you want to change it up a little bit.
that's right, little tweaks.
Little tweaks. All right. Yeah. So we're trying. We're experimenting. So.
Yep. There's other thoughts.
All right.
Yeah, rewards are about half the design conversations that we have.
Yeah.
Probably.
Easily.
Yep.
Easily.
Rewards definitely dominate our minds
Yep.
as well as our players.
Yep.
An update to the Wukong Deluxe skin had also been shown, with Jeff commenting it is in its sculpting high poly phase. In relation to Wukong, it was also announced that his rework will be coming with the updated melee combo control scheme. They'd also gone into the changes coming to the frame, offering the image and preview on your screen. His first ability will be replaced and will now create a clone of Wukong. This clone will use the opposite weapon to that of what the player is using. If you are using a pistol, the clone will end up using its melee. This new ability will be under the title Hair of the King. His second ability, Defy, will, quote, lose its role as the stay alive forever power, end quote, and will be a taunt and redirect damage ability. However, the invulnerability will remain, but players will need to be more tactical, as they stated later on in the Devstream. The third ability, Cloud Walker, will remain the same, but will be faster and provide a damage buff upon exit that will increase the longer the player remains within the ability. The fourth ability, Primal Fury, will adapt Baruch's meter, get a damage increase, and when used in combination with Hair of the King, the clone will receive a version of Primal Fury. Primal Fury will also use the updated melee combo control scheme. Pablo had also shared on Twitter that Wukong will get a Defy augment with its rework, and that the first ability augment will be replaced, and he is working on said rework. The Corpus ship Tileset is currently being remastered. The Ghoul Saw Gun and Nox's gun are still a possibility for release to players via the heavy weapons system, but there is no ETA on that. Prime trailers were brought up again, and once again they said they fell behind the ball. A Saturn 6 Tileset may end up being a reality, but that was only a discussion during the stream. Crossplay is not on the radar, but cross-progression is across all of the platforms. They also showed off a real-life Clem bobblehead that will be for sale at Tennocon. And to finish up the Devstream segment in relation to the new war, a total of 4 concept pieces were shown for a sentient tile set, but to add to that preview, they also had a walk around the work-in-progress tile set that is being created around said concept art. Now a timestamp to this walk around will be in the description of the video, and lastly, Jeff did state that the new war is definitely this year. Now outside of the Devstream and prior to the launch of Update 25, Steve went live on Twitch, and during the stream he showed off a work-in-progress peculiar mod that projects comic book onomatopoeia upon the enemy's death. Starting this week's episode off, DE announced that some sort of event might happen this upcoming weekend. Whether that does happen, we'll have to wait and see. They also went through a portfolio of someone in DE, specifically showing items shown at Tennocon. They first showed off the still of a pre-Grineer cloning defects face, the face of one of the Grineers shown during the new player experience cinematic that was shown at Tennocon. A number of angles and concepts of Harrow's Deluxe skin with shots of his weapon skin, face and body were also shown. They provided an updated look at Zephyr Deluxe's skin, however there is still no release window, but it has been updated with this new preview, so maybe you'll get it within the next 5 years. Next was multiple angles and concepts from the version of Adak shown during the Duviri Paradox teaser, with multiple images of its various states, headshots, and the weapon it was using during that teaser. When it comes to that sword, players might get their hands on it, but we'll have to wait and see, and they also showed off stills and clips of the horse from that Duviri trailer as well. Lastly, there was a full still of the worm that was shown during Tennocon Empyrean and the Duviri Paradox reveal. For those like myself who thought it was Hayden Tenno in the Duviri Paradox, it is not. Jeff confirmed that it is just your grown-up operator, and that the similarity is a coincidence in their design. When it comes to it, your operator will be shown in their grown-up state, and in regards to any purchased cosmetics and appearances, Jeff and Steve had the following to say.
People are saying, I've spent 600 platinum on cosmetics for my operator. Does that mean they're all gone?
Yes.
Does that mean they're all gone?
No.
No, they just scale up, so don't worry if you...
They don't scale up.
They don't scale up.
It is going to be kind of hilarious, though, seeing some of those cosmetics applied to an adult.
Yeah, but you don't need to rebuy them.
But, you know, we're going to, yep.
I can't wait to...
Let's not. None of that is official.
None of that's official.
None of that's official. Our intentions are not necessarily to have.
And forget everything we just said.
A backward compatibility thing. More on that later.
More on that later.
The content is being explored, for sure.
Yep. Yeah, your old operator, you know.
You'll have to play it to kind of understand where the presented paradoxical people end up.
Indeed.
Now, in regards to reworks and changes, Scott did say he started to look into Vauban and his notes, but no information had been shared during this stream. The loadout screen will also be updated to UI 3.0 and have a number of new features added, such as the ability to favorite loadouts and change the icon of a loadout to a glyph that you own. Vault will also be receiving cloth physics for those interested in that and have been asking for that. The Captura launch button will be moved to the top right of the screen alongside a new feature that links your mods or cosmetic loadouts. This feature will be available when you're in their respected UI screens, and Pablo expanded on it with a number of replies to players on Twitter, saying you won't be able to link your loadouts outside of the game. It is solely for in-game and for those on the same game build. In regards to that same build comment, Pablo elaborated, saying, after a hotfix, if someone hasn't restarted, but you have and you send him a link, he won't be able to open it. Now, in response to a player asking what happens if I don't own cosmetics the shared loadout has, Pablo said, anything you don't own is listed on the left. You can also partially apply. Like in the video, you can see the original linker had Harrow's Noble animation set and Kuva chestplate, but the receiver didn't, and he could still apply the rest. When it comes to applying loadouts to other Warframes, he said, you can see it and it will give you the option to apply the look to Nova or the current frame you have equipped. So if you have a preferred color combination to use all over, you can use this to transfer looks around. Want to move the Sabaris crit build to Rubico? That works too. When you apply a shared loadout to your loadout, you'll also have the option to choose which loadout will be overwritten, as shown by Pablo through his tweet. And also in response to a question about color channels, saying, what about frames with bad color channels that don't match up with other frames? Pablo said, that is up to you. This just applies what was linked. Pablo also said the following to a question about polarity capacity and placement with polarity slots. It prioritizes capacity, so it will seek to match polarities. The downside of this approach is that it might flip some elemental mods and the combination might end up changing, so at that point needs human brain to rearrange. The link system won't be allowed at launch in region chat, trade chat, or recruiting chat channels as well. Next for the Devstream, Wukong Deluxe will probably release this week on PC, and alongside that announcement, they showed off his in-game model with a bunch of random colors. Before they showed off the abilities for Gorse, they also showed a preview of Rebecca playing the basically Shorzin hero. I'll play that for you right now with the audio.
And an evening, thought, what could we let players play it? The answer is yes. It kind of works. I don't know if the notes are final, so I'm a little...
The notes are not final.
The notes are not final, but it does work. I'll show you.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Did you practice the national anthem?
Fret and note. No.
Sound like you're singing No Canada.
How do you play Roundabout, Steve?
Yeah, you need harmonics, which I don't think this has. Yep.
All right, so
there is going to be Elise did these animations. She's working on. I think they're going to try and get some.
The plucking.
Yeah. So we have the animation team working on it. So if you own the cosmetic, I believe the plan is that you'll just have this emote automatically.
Yeah.
And it should work in squads.
Oh, if you have the shows and you get this emote, that's
if
cool.
you have the shows and you get the email, that's
So it should work so then we can be playing together.
Yeah, so you could do like a pre-mission.
So we can jam in the relays and stuff?
Yeah.
Relays, I don't think it works. I think it's squad.
Well, let's make it work in relays.
Well, that's not my.
It's just one of those things where do you want to impose your
you don't
music onto...
How did we do that before? I think.
And I did state Gorse's abilities were shown, so his abilities I'll be taking straight from the official DE overview with their straight words. So his passive will be that his shield regen rate increases when he moves. The first ability can either be tapped for a short burst of speed, or held for a consistent drain to increase your speed, but at the cost of maneuverability. When you hold down the ability, you'll also have the ability to run on water, but you won't be able to stop on that water. On top of this, if you ram into enemies or walls, it will do damage and build up your gauge meter next to your energy bar. The second ability will protect you from physical, cold, and heat damage at the cost of draining your gauge. As it protects, it will replenish small amounts of energy as well. With this ability active, slamming into your enemies with your first ability will cause /procs. The third ability, depending on if you tap or hold the casting button, will either cast a circle of cold or a circle of heat around you, hurting enemies. Double tapping or double holding will force another freezing or heat proc onto enemies within the area. If you hit an enemy with cold and then heat using the ability, it will create a blast proc with that combination. Lastly, the fourth ability will unlock once the gauge is full. Upon cast, you will be able to fill up the top half of the gauge, increasing your movement, reload, and melee speed as well as its damage. If you do not hit the 100% cap of the top half of your gauge by the time this ability ends, your entire meter will drain. And they stated Gorse and Grendel will release together in the same update, but no release window was given. Next up in the Devstream, the dry dock will display your Railjack regardless of if another clan member has theirs docked outside of your squad. So if you're in your own squad, you call in your Railjack, and then someone in your clan who's not in your squad calls theirs, only yours will shown. It'll be this little bubble where it will only display your stuff. The dry dock may possibly be released before Empyrean, so players can prepare for the expansion and won't have to wait to start building it and get into it, but they are still working it out, and it may not come before Empyrean launches. We'll have to wait and see. The dry dock will be its own room that we have to build, and Steve said they will be increasing dojo capacity, but the cost of the construction of the dry dock is unknown at this time. Dark sectors are not on the top of the creation pile and was only shown within the demo as a reminder for the developers. The Assassin's Creed and Hacking Blade is a multi-tool and will be for all Warframes when released. This is the tool shown throughout the Tennocon reveal, and it can be used to hack doors, terminals, as well as seen during Tennocon to take down Kuva Liches, and possibly in the future, in the long term, provide players an outlet for finding more information about how to take down their Kuva Liches. The multi-tool will be the outlet for the cinematic finisher rework to save some time than working on animations for each weapon. Whether they will continue to work on finishers for each weapon type was unclear. Steve also said that Grineer will be the only faction to have liches upon launch, and more faction variants will come further down the line. The NPCs aboard the Railjack, for those curious, will hide upon being boarded, but in the future, further down the line, that may change. Itzel's Blink will be replaced with a new ability that will be an Archwing version of Ripline, as Blink of course will be universal for all Archwings as forward, dodge or sprint, with the left and right dodges remaining the same. They are still trying to work out an Archwing system rework with changes and all of that to coincide with Empyrean, but no exact information was given, and as for a release date for Empyrean, Steve said they will hope to get it released this fall, which is around September, but they can't provide an exact date due to prior times where they've done that and then never met it, such as, well, the War Within. Kuvaliches may also release with Empyrean, but may come before or after, as they are not specifically tied together, according to Steve. Lastly, the Orbiter Remaster may release with the Drydox pre-release if that ends up happening. The first 20 minutes or so of the stream was DE going over comments made back 7 years ago when they were developing some of the aspects of the game, and if you want to hear all about that, links to it is in the description. They also went through a bit of the stats from the Dog Days Tactical Alert. But for the up-to-date information, they gave us a preview of the Equinox Deluxe skins progress, and you can see that on your screen. The left is the night, then it goes day, and then we end up with the Metamorphosis. And there was also an updated look at the Avara Deluxe skin that is shown on your screen, coming with a skin for the Artemis bow and its arrow, so that's also up there as well. Mastery rank icons will be updated to have badges that indicate your mastery rank. They will apparently appear on the loading screen and next to your name. The Shorzin emote was also shown once again. We have already covered its functionality before in a prior episode, but for those that did not see it, I will play the Devstream clip for you now.
You're really good at this.
Have you been practicing? No, you haven't. Not even a bit. Switch to hit tab. There's a really cool scale.
Blue.
Keep going.
These are all the scales you can go through.
Slow. Keep going.
Major.
Keep going.
Minor.
Keep going. That one.
Hirajoshi.
Yeah.
What?
And the Phrygian is also really cool.
Play something now?
All right.
Oh, the little whammy.
The
too.
whammy.
Now this will have an audio slider for it if you do wish to mute it. Octavia will also have unique functionality with it as well. Pablo did also say on Twitter that if you bought the decoration, you will have the emote. Now the next update for PC players will be a mainline update. It will possibly release before the end of August, that is their release window. It will contain Gorse, and to clarify and make it pretty clear, Gorse and Grendel will not release together. It will only be Gorse. DE said they, quote, have something planned with the goal to bring a sense of lore and world building, but not to the same extent as quests. End quote. For Gorse. They also said he will be tied to the soon-to-be-mentioned expansion of the Disruption game mode. Alongside Gorse will be the release of his weapons, the Accelitra and the Icarius. The Accelera's unique bonus is when sprinting, your reload speed increases. The Icarius, on the other hand, is a dual-wielded pistol with an explosive impact. As slightly mentioned beforehand, an expansion for the Disruption game mode will be coming with the mainline, and it introduces other factions and locations for the game mode. They said they have 5 locations planned, 2 of which were mentioned, which were the Void and the Kuva Fortress, but Mars was specifically played, with the ghouls being the main enemy of the game mode. In regards to the Kuva Fortress, they did say that Kuva would be rewarded from the game mode, but that's only for the Kuva Fortress. They also addressed the game mode's rewards, and they said they will be making changes or at least adjustments to it. The Riven mod cap will also be increased to 120 with the mainline update, alongside Look Link and Mod Link, the 1000 friends cap, and Sentinel Rivens being sold through Samaris. Outside of this, they showed off Grendel with his abilities. Those abilities currently being Feast, Nourish, Regurgitate, and Meatball. Now I did take the following descriptions from the official DE overview, and they follow. So the passive boosts his armor per enemy eaten. The first ability, Feast, eats enemies and stows them in Grendel's body. The eaten enemies do drain your energy, but any damage you take will then be dealt to the enemies. The second ability, Nourish, consumes the eaten enemies and expels a radius buff to nearby players. There are 3 buffs in total that can be provided. An energy buff that increases the energy you get from energy orbs, a toxic area of effect blast that activates upon taking damage, and a simple armor buff. The third ability, Regurgitate, is as the title says. It regurgitates the eaten enemies up, dealing excess damage. And then there is the final ability, Meatball. It turns Grendel into a ball that upon hitting enemies, eats them. The ball will increase with size per enemy consumed, with more than likely a cap being reached. It should also be mentioned that the footage on screen is with unlimited energy, and of course all the other stuff DE uses during the dev streams. The final bit of information to share about that final ability is that apparently there will be negative repercussions if you use all your energy while the ability is active. Continuing further into the dev stream, DE may make a shield increasing aura mod. DE are investigating something around a legacy mode for Melee 3.0 or Melee 2.99 or whatever. DE said Nightwave apparently has taken development priority over Syndicate weapons and mods. DE are planning to bring back old Nightwave tier rewards from previous series, but don't know how or when they will do it. Modular Archwings are still in development. Vauban is the only Warframe being investigated for reworks at the moment. Kuva Liches are not intended to be a resource for Kuva, as it's only there for a narrative reason. Infested dojo decorations will be coming soon, with a display of said decorations up on your screen right now. And now we go into the end of the stream with Railjack information. The dry dock. It's massive. As you can see on screen, they showed it off with a minimap. So clan members, make sure to account for its size when you're customizing your base, or make adjustments prior to the update. We will need to research weapons, thrusters, and guns, as well as the Railjack itself. The colors of your Railjack will appear brighter than what you see on your Warframe and other applications that we've had beforehand to show the detail in the ship. Now, for the following bit of information, I found the on-stream explanation for the Railjack modding system extremely confusing, so the following will be taken straight from the DE overview. Your Railjack system has slots for various powers and upgrades, some of which can be earned versus researched. New resources await. For Warframes, you have the familiar upgrade screen where you are limited by the amount of mod slots you have and the corresponding mod capacity, where any mods you don't equip are not available for you to use in mission. For Railjack, this system is flipped on its head a bit. The goal is to over-provision the amount of modules you equip on your Railjack, which will not all be active at once. The modules that are active are limited by your ship's power, which can be activated and deactivated mid-mission depending on your needs. The focus is on power management between modules depending on your mission's condition. You can access the system screen anywhere within the Railjack to do this. Modules will have a range of quality that is randomized on acquisition, which are not like ribbons. Instead, they will have a set range of stats that are available. You can have a +3 repair speed, or get lucky and find one with +4% repair speed. Modules have different energy costs based on their impact during gameplay, and the strength of the modules can also be increased by improving the efficiency of the actual slots you put them in. In lieu of upgrading the modules, the focus is on investing more resources into the Railjack itself. So that does end that DE overview explanation of what they showed on the dev stream. But there is a bit more in regards to Railjack. When it comes to the people on our ship, we will be able to recruit syndicate members, and each of those recruitable members will have their own stats. This is very important to note. Railjack will release with a Grineer and a portion of the planets before the other factions have been introduced into the game. So Grineer first, and then continued rollout later with all the other factions. The Railjack Dojo cinematic can be skipped. They showed off a cloak shield for the Railjack, and Steve had the following to say in regards to it and solo players.
So I'm gonna go cloaked right away.
Okay.
So you see the effect.
So you can kind of see what's going on. So they're
Coated in red invisibility.
coated.
And so something like the Shadowfield, which is like basically perfect stealth, this is sort of targeted at players who want to engage in this content solo.
Yes.
So they will be focused on getting a good crew aboard to help them, and they can be using that to safely exit the Railjack and invade the different ships and the different micro bases and capital ships that are going to be present.
Rebecca also entered a Grenier missile platform, but it was not complete, so we only got a short little preview of it. And the final bit of information in regards to Devstream 130, there will not be another Devstream for a while. Surprising no one, there is still no ETA for Empyrean's release, but we do have information on DE's rollout outside of the Grenier releasing first, and then all the other factions later. So Empyrean's systems will be rolled out over 3 releases. First we'll get the dry dock, second we'll get our Railjack in space where we'll fly around, and third we'll get the Find Answers stage. No information has been shared on what that specifically means, so we'll have to wait and see. Melee 3.0's simplified stance reworks, combo meter and channeling changing, as well as melee mods. They're still working on it, and we might see a developer workshop post about it in the future, but there was no progress shown on screen. But we did get the information that melee mods that don't have a parallel for the rework will be converted. The team has answered the question on how they continue to entertain players who have been playing Warframe for 7 years, and to follow that up, they also answered what they think the most valid criticism of the game is, with their responses to those questions following.
At launch, we could learn from a lot of different games. Now we have very few to learn from. How do you entertain someone playing the same game for 7 years?
Who asked this question?
DE Rebecca. But yeah, I think when we were launching, the world of gaming was very different. PS4 and Xbox One didn't even exist, nor did the Switch. We were doing this free-to-play thing. We didn't really know what we were doing, and now it's been 7 years.
And we still don't know what we're doing.
And we still don't know what we're doing, but people have been playing this game for 7 years, and how do you keep entertaining them after all that time, especially when they've become experts at playing the game, probably more.
I think it's bringing more surprises, bringing more changes to the game, bringing things that they necessarily... Like, we get a lot of suggestions about what we should do, but I don't know if we necessarily follow those because that's what everyone wants in that small group versus this is where we want the game to go. So I think finding surprises that push players out of their comfort zone and into something new. I think the one thing that the community is asking for is challenge, and I think the Liches hopefully will bring some challenge.
Yeah, that's right.
I agree.
Yeah. I think it's the same way we have to... You know, it's been a long time we've been working on this game, so we have to find ways to keep getting excited about working on it as well, like adding new content and new ideas to it. So that's right. I'm just kind of
Change for the sake of change. I think that's really healthy for any product.
What would you say the most current valid criticism of the game in 2019 is?
The current
Yeah.
most valid
Because
criticism?
like in 2013, the criticism was it's too hard to understand, and well, that's a way of interacting.
Well, that still works.
That still works, but...
Yeah. Well, I think we're overdue for some content, I think.
All right.
So the quest has been dragging on, so that's not out yet. So yeah, I think we've got our really cool boss fights that we opened with, and we've had some cool remasters, and I think now it's time to make good on our Kingpin or Nemesis or Lich system, as well as get our space sim added and figure out what the hell Space Mom is doing.
A new Exila slot for primary and secondary weapons will be coming out this month. As for a melee Exila slot, that will come out later once the rework is complete. This slot is only for utility mods. Players will also be able to buy new appearance and loadout config slots for 20 platinum each, up to a capacity of 6. Ember's rework. We've got more information about what that entails, and the following is the information shown on the Devstream as well as from the developer workshop. So Ember's new passive, all enemies within a certain range that are on fire will grant Ember added ability strength up to cap. Scott shared on the stream that the passive was uncapped, but their plan is that the ability strength gain is 5% per enemy within a 10 meter radius. Scott also followed up on Twitter saying that the range will be increased from that 10 meters, up to possibly the affinity range. The first ability, Fireball, works fundamentally the same as it does now. Tap for quick fire, hold to charge for greater impact. Enemies already inflicted by any heat status effect will now take additional damage. The damage output and charge speed also scale off Ember's immolation meter, which we will talk about now. So replacing Accelerant will be Immolation. When cast, Ember immolates herself with a protective fire armor. Her current level of self-immolation is indicated by a unique UI indicator on the bottom right hand side of the screen. The starting damage reduction is 50%, that increases as the meter gains, and increasing the meter will also improve Ember's other abilities. The immolation meter will build slowly at first, so killing enemies and casting Ember's Fireball or her new ultimate ability causes the meter to build faster. If the meter reaches 100%, Ember will overheat and unleash a wave of flame expending all of her energy. Using the third ability, Fire Blast will reduce a portion of the heat meter, but players can turn immolation off and on again by recasting the ability, which will reset the meter. There is no energy drain for this ability when it is active, it's only the initial cast. Scott also added on Twitter in reply to a player that he is still playing with ideas and the complete loss of energy might be changed to a flameout where the ability goes on a cooldown. The third ability, Fire Blast, will remain the same, but duration has been removed. The casting time has been greatly reduced and the ability now strips armor from nearby enemies, scaling in effectiveness based on the current immolation levels. For the fourth ability, World on Fire has been replaced with Inferno. Upon casting Inferno, all enemies currently within sight are struck by a fiery comet, lighting each target ablaze in a personal ring of fire. If an enemy ignited by Inferno comes in contact with another unit, the fire will spread, lighting them as well with a fresh ability duration. And the damage of the heat AoE scales with current immolation meter level. Ember's animations have also been updated, as well as heat damage seeing a revision. So heat damage, as seen in the Devstream, will be changing so that the status procs stack damage over time and melts armor on top of the panic effect. The next mainline update will be out this month, and the Ember rework will be a part of this according to the team. A new Bat Ephemera is coming for surviving long enough in an upcoming Halloween event that will apparently be a Halloween version of the Emissary boss fight that we saw near the end of Series 2. Now we move on to Volbin's rework as shown on the Devstream with the information from the Devstream as well as the developer workshop. So Tesla grenades have been replaced with Tesla drones, and they now roll around and follow the player. Once an enemy comes within range, the drones will latch on and emit a shock that stuns the target and nearby enemies. Each drone has a limited number of shock charges before it must be replaced, and holding the cast button will summon multiple Tesla drones at once. For Mine Layer, all 4 of his mines will be replaced with new options. The first will be Sticky Ripline, where it pulls a number of nearby enemies to wherever it sticks. Nail Grenade will fire high velocity nails in all direction where it inflicts puncture damage to any enemy nearby. Boost Pad will be laid down as a walk pad, granting a boost of speed in any chosen direction. Lastly, there will be Damage Amp, which will latch onto nearby allies, enhancing their damage output for a period of time. For Bastille, it has been moved to the 4th ability, and the 3rd ability is now Orbital Strike. A deployable beacon marks a location on the map. After a short countdown, the area is struck by a massive orbital laser explosion, and it will work indoors. Orbital Strike will scale with the enemies that are around, so an Orbital Strike near higher level enemies will be a stronger Orbital Strike. For Bastille, it's also combined with Vortex. Volbin's 2 marquee powers have been combined. Deploying Bastille will capture nearby enemies, stripping enemies of their armor over time. Players standing within a Bastille's radius will gain a temporary armor increase, which will build up over time based on how much armor is currently being stripped from enemies. When Bastille's duration expires, it will collapse into a brief vortex at the center of the cast for easy group kills, and holding the cast key will collapse all active Bastilles early. Titania Deluxe will also be coming soon, and Titania will be receiving the following changes. Overall animation streamlining to make casting feel more fluid, and each ability will be upper body only with the exception of Razor Wing. You can spawn up to 4 more Razorflies if all tributes are active, 1 per tribute, and Razorflies can now pick up tributes. And the Thorns tribute now has damage reflected and damage reduction. Grendel will be coming in the mainline update that I mentioned previously. They showed off Grendel's signature melee weapon, the Massateer, and a few of its strikes. Now Kuvaliches. They will be randomly generated, and the generation will be tied to the Warframe you had equipped at the time. Each Lich will have a unique weapon with an innate bonus, and if players kill the Lich, they'll get the weapon, but these weapons won't provide mastery, and these weapons apparently will be a step above the weapons we have now. A Lich can either be killed via a finisher with the Assassin's Creed-like hacking blade, or converted to fight for you. If you convert them, there will be a chance for them to assist you in a mission in moments of trouble. A Lich can be refreshed if you do not like it via the clan system, where you will donate it to your clan so they can fight it instead. A Lich will have unique characteristics, and like we learned earlier in the year, they will take on one of your Warframe's powers. Playing over the screen has been a number of the generated Liches that were shown on the screen, so there's a bit of information there. Liches will also have influence over the star chart, and that was shown via these red bubbles, and players will have to take down followers in order to reduce the Lich's influence. On Twitter, Steve had said definitely at the request for DE to consider having some Lich weapons grant mastery. The Vampiric Kavat breed has been shown, and it will be added to the Plains of Eidolon Conservation. It will be a creature for it, and it will only spawn at night. Players will be able to get their own version of it, and on Reddit, Rebecca had informed us that it will have unique skills, and it won't just be a reskin. They also showed the on-screen preview from the animation team for the new war, and cross-save is being investigated, but crossplay is not. Once again, this has been said numerous times, but I guess it needs to be repeated every bloody stream. Starting this week's episode off, we did have Devstream 132, where they announced a Hydroid Deluxe skin via the concept art on screen, with 2 different concept art pieces. DE has commented on Melee 3.0 Phase 2's rollout and the announcement that Covert Lethality will no longer be a mod for daggers and will be moved to the Parazon. Their comments on the Parazon and Covert Lethality moving forward follow.
Are all changing, mods are being rebalanced. Things like Covert Lethality are actually being taken out of Melee entirely, and we're moving them to the, I'm just gonna work the mission quickly, whoopsies, to the Parazon system. So really focused single-use utility things are being put elsewhere into the game on the heels of what's coming up A26. Having a one-shot kill thing really kind of limits options for Melee overall if everything dies in one hit. So the Parazon and what it will do would bring that one-shot kill design to the dagger that everyone will have, so you won't have to just use a dagger item. But it's also changing the way we're approaching the idea of a one-shot kill thing. It's going to be a bit different, of course, in what you actually use it for and who you use it on. So expect lots of change in Update 26 at the end of the day.
3 more Prex cards will be coming to the Liverian for Grendel, Atlas, and an unknown Warframe. Grendel will also have jiggle physics only once it consumes enough enemies. The Orbiter revamp won't be coming in the next update for PC. The Halloween event will go live this week. They also showed the faces of some male and female Kuva Liches, where it does show how Kuva has infected them. DE also commented on their plans to change armor scaling after their previous comments earlier in the year, saying they would be looking into it. They said the following.
The heat proc and how there's now a second proc that affects armor. So corrosive damage or corrosive projection have been the armor killers leading up till now. Heat will play a role in that moving forward. So it's not exclusive to Ember's kit. The heat proc overall is being changed. And that opened a lot of discussion about armor overall in Warframe and if we will be reviewing armor scaling anytime soon, or is this?
Yeah, I mean, we say this every year, but yes.
Every year we do, I know.
I think you can see us starting to tear the Band-Aid off with the Melee update that's coming, and we're going to continue that. Some things are getting buffed, some things are getting nerfed.
Some things are getting tied off.
Yeah. We don't want to sack the whole damage system in one go. That'd be nuts to do that. We just want to do it gradually.
And lastly, for the Devstream, concept art was shown for a number of skins where we'll be able to apply them to our Railjack. The next mainline update, aka Update 26, The Old Blood, will possibly release this week on PC, according to Steve on the Devstream. The following is a list of the known content and changes coming inside of it, so a very brief overview of that will follow. I do have a video up on the channel already with in-depth descriptions of this content, which you can watch, of course, by clicking the card on the top of the screen or going to the video through the description. Before we get to the contents of Update 26, DE announced that players who log into the game within a yet-to-be-determined amount of time after the update goes live will receive former, boosters, and a legendary core through their inbox. But moving into the update, the Warframe Grendel will arrive alongside its alternate Glut helmet, the Sumba Sayandana, and Grendel's signature heavy blade melee weapon, the Massatir. Grendel will be tied to keys that players must purchase with Vitus Essence in order to get the parts. These keys will allow players to partake in a Grendel-themed challenge that upon completion will grant parts for Grendel. The Kuvalich Nemesis system will be released. A bit of information was shared on the Devstream about this that have yet to be known, so we'll go over that as well. A generated Lich will adapt to your Warframe, taking one of its abilities. Each Lich will be generated based on the Warframe you have equipped, so it's unique to the Warframes. The Lich will also steal portions of our rewards, but once we kill it, those rewards will be returned to us. We can't kill it unless we have its kill phrase, and it will invade us, but just like the assassin enemies, we can damage it to a point where it retreats. In order to actually kill the Lich, we will need to use the Parazon. As I mentioned beforehand, it's the Assassin's Creed-like hacking blade, and we'll need to use a correct combination of new immortal mods that we will receive upon launch that match the Lich's kill phrase. We'll also have the option to convert a Lich, and doing so will allow for it to help us in missions at random points. If you can't kill a Lich, they will execute a custom finisher on us that will reset the field, as shown on screen. Players will also have the ability to trade a Kuvalich with clanmates if they can't defeat it, or they just want to trade it to another clanmate. On top of taking down the Lich, the Parazon will be used for hacking panels, reviving teammates, and capturing targets. Melee 3.0 Phase 2 will also be a part of the update, and DE has released a developer workshop on these changes. Starting with the Devstream and Steve's pre-update livestream recap, we had confirmation that the next Prime Access in December will contain Ivara Prime, Baza Prime, and Aximati Prime, and for the accessories, there'll be an Itan-themed Syandana and armor set, as shown on screen. Rebecca also showed off the upcoming sentient tile set coming with a new war, commenting that the tile set will be sentient only enemies and that 4 to 6 new units will be coming as was shown at Tennocon. Within the Devstream overview, DE also commented that the tile set's focus is on verticality and mobility. Rebecca said the following about Kuvaliches and their direction as well.
So those are two versions of a lot of the feedback we've had that we're getting in there. There's been a lot of really broad, specific, detailed, however you want it. Basically, we've had, I think, more forum posts and comments and stuff in the past since the launch of Update 26 than we have in a long time, so we're getting through a lot. A lot of people want the undead theme to come back, the Tennocon reveal with the Kuvaliches, where you kind of juxtapose the you killed me and I got stronger versus the Requiem system, which of course wasn't discussed at Tennocon at all. I don't think people expected of course, we didn't talk about it, so how could you expect it? But the Requiem system and the password and the keys and the mods and that sort of Lovecraftian horror version with the Requiem relics is what's going to be staying, and we'll be iterating as we move on, especially into next year when we expand the system more. So we're hoping these two things help a lot for the short term, and then long term we're going to see what direction we take the growth of the system. But we're focusing on things right now that include the Rising Tide Dry Dock update, which is why no one's here with me. But absolutely rest assured that we will continue to iterate. I don't want to say in 2020 because that sounds so far away, but we will continue to iterate not only with fixes and tweaks, but expect even more. And the Luthier Mark wants to know, how will the level of Kuvaliches work once Empyrean is out? How high will their level be, and what do we get for leveling them up before vanquishing and converting them? That's a great question. I think given what we showed at Tennocon and with the ranks, you can expect in the lifetime of the Empyrean update, maybe, who knows, maybe at launch, maybe after, for Liches to have a role there. So stay tuned for that. Etsu wants to know what will happen when the squad leader, owner of the Railjack, disconnects. How will host migration work? Will it be thrown out into space into Arkwing? Right now, you simply get the host's Railjack. That's how it works on the dev build at present time. Will converted Liches be eligible as Railjack crew, asks Rough Dungan. I would say that is the most discussed thing around the office in the future. I do hope it is a yes. Pretty sure it is, but we'll see.
A new Corpus weapon is in the works, which shoots a bar of radiation. There are 3 images on the screen showing its functionality. Rebecca also shared that they had discussed lowering or removing the destruction time from dojo rooms, but nothing was guaranteed. Stats were also shared in regards to the Kuvalich conversion or death choices on each console, so PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4, and they shared an updated look of Warframe usage by Mastery Rank on PC, as well as Amp Prism usage by Mastery Rank. Those two are up on your screen as well. Lastly, for the Devstream, they gave us a look at the most used weapons, and post-nerf look at the Catchmoon's usage per Mastery Rank, where the Catchmoon now has dropped to 25% of Mastery Rank 27 players using the kit gun. As for Steve's pre-release update stream highlights, like usual, I will play them now instead of talking about them.
Some people that watch the stream like to see the kind of behind the scenes stuff about how we make Warframe for you. So I was going to show you, we just had a bug where the really cool things, or at least I think they're really cool, the really cool improvements for Arcwing, which are kind of part of the new release for Empyrean and Railjack. There was a content problem where we broke a section of the animation tree, and I wanted to kind of show you a little bit of the animation tree. Okay, so here's the game running, and so here I am animating. So if you look at the game, this is the animation tree system here. Here is the network now, after working on the game for years. And you can kind of see when things light up orange. This is one of the idle animations, and you can kind of watch the spaghetti. So this is all of the animation data to make just on the ground dude Warframe work. So it's sort of like reminds me a little bit of like a subway network, doesn't it? And then as you zoom in and zoom in and zoom in and zoom in, you start kind of seeing all of the data that describes how all of these animation nodes work together. And so you can see the different kind of decisions. If you look at this, let me see here. That's a good way to show it. Let's see here. You can see weapon states, you can see grip types, right? What type of gun, melee two-handed, heavy guns, that sort of thing. And all this kind of crazy amounts of data here to describe movements in different states. It's quite the thing. And then you can see here where I'm currently at is let's see here, I'm in this little subtree with my two-handed gun. We don't have cross-save coming with Empyrean. It is something that we're working on.
Are melee heavy attacks working as intended? On paper, yes. People are starting to develop builds that use heavy attack efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
And I think generally speaking, people want a yes or no answer. Are you changing them in terms of the melee technique? And we are still reviewing everything. So much changed with the update that I can't imagine the answer is no, we're not changing heavy attacks, but I also can't give you definite details on what we are changing. But we are working and reviewing. Steve, what about parkour? Not too long ago, we showed the wall running versus wall hopping.
That's right.
And there's nothing.
I just finished the Fallen Order, and they have a really nice wall running. So Jeff and I have been playing it, and we've been discussing their wall running. We did try bringing the old wall running back. We didn't like how the magnetic aspects was working, and that caused collision problems, which were things that we did fix with the bunny hop. But we do want to get back to the kind of look and feel of the old wall running without those collision problems.
Yes. Steve, will there be new vehicles? We never released that car. Remember that Corpus vehicle that I used to
The goofy car?
Yeah.
Yeah, we started working on a horse instead.
Yeah. A Hydrate Prime trailer is related to a Rising Tide, question mark? It is not. It is not.
It is not, although that is a very good pun, and we should have done that. Yeah.
We do have 2 levels built for that cinematic. In fact, I think we probably never will release it, but I've seen the levels. So, Rebecca showed us new sentient enemies. Will we get new Umbras to fight these enemies?
It sure would be cool. That isn't our current plan with that.
Mm-hmm. Any news on new augments? We are working on some.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
All right.
When are the deferred rendering changes coming?
The deferred rendering changes, we were going to ship a preview this week, and we decided to work on Rising Tide and Railjack instead. It is really, really close in a preview way. So I think the way to expect the new rendering changes is it'll be preview, I think, for a little bit and going into 2020. And then, of course, our poor lighting artists have to go through the game and make it interesting from a dynamic light perspective.
Will you elaborate on Russia-specific connection issues? That is, I've seen 3 people mention that, Russia-specific connection issues. Now, there's legacy issues that are just by the virtue of Russian ISPs and what they do and do not allow. And then if there's a new issue,
There is a new issue.
There is a new issue.
Yep. There's a new edge that's been banned.
Yes.
And our technical director has been working on resolving that, and I think the situation is improved, but I'm not sure if they are done completely.
Okay. So we are working on it.
But we do know about it, and it is something that is being looked at.
DE Steve, will we see any form of Grenier/Corpus skins for the Railjacks?
Ooh.
I haven't. All the
that's a
skins
good-
we've shown are Tenno.
Oh yeah, that is a good idea though. People ask about raids. We do get that question a fair bit, and Rebecca, on your behalf, also says it's like the pretzel money. You know, where's my raids? Where's the raids? Where are the raids coming back? Where's the raids, and so on and so forth. And so definitely want that part of trying to have a small innovation in those. Is we're going to be implicating. We're going to try anyway to see what you guys think. We're going to try implement Squad Link and implicate that system there. And when that comes out is unknown. Right now, everything we're doing is trying to get Empyrean off the ground, or
Livestream 134. The new war will not be released in 2019, but apparently it will start in some form with Empyrean, as the Railjack will be required for the new war. Steve said, to paraphrase, "It is a war and will not be a quest that you blast through in an evening. For Empyrean, we'll need to use a key to launch the Reliquary Drive, and that will apparently have a quest. We will need to research Railjack systems and weapons in the Drydock as a clan, as it is clan research, with Empyrean-specific resources needed to complete each item. The resource costs shown on Devstream were for a Shadow clan and are a work in progress as mentioned by the team. Numerous weapons and systems were shown as research with different tiers that will need prior tiers completed to upgrade higher. Those systems being engines, reactors that affect your Railjack energy capacity, guns and shields that will place in their specific slots on our Railjack. Steve said that they have, quote, committed to the co-op experience for 1.0, and that for the first Empyrean release, co-op is pretty much required for anything above the first tier of difficulty. You'll probably get good enough that you'll be able to handle it a little bit, but when we go forward with Empyrean, we'll be showing you new things that we'll be adding later on, end quote. Later, he had also shared that the design of the Railjack is, quote, taking on roles, but we'll cover that system later. Scott did follow up Steve's comments by saying that it's not that solo players are locked out, just that the difficulty progression is high. For our Railjack screen, we have 6 tabs. For weapons, here we will have 2 autocannon slots that can be swapped out for other weapons that we've researched, and then the ordnance slot for heavy impacts. Avionics will be the upgrade system, and will have a specific mod tab that features 3 different types of avionics, with each type affecting the Railjack in a different way. Each avionic mod will also be tied to a brand that will have different strengths and weaknesses. Integrated Avionics is the first, and that will have 9 slots. It is for passives that affect your Railjack's base stats. Battle Avionics will be active Railjack abilities and can be activated by anyone on a turret. And Tactical Avionics are more powerful battle avionics, but its own set that is for battle situational awareness and can be managed via the tactical menu according to Steve. Your Railjack energy capacity will limit the amount of avionics you can equip on your Railjack. Each avionic can also be upgraded with a new endo type, the Avionic Endo. The active power management system, where we could choose where the power went to and the ability to switch avionics on the fly, that has been removed. DE said this was removed due to making the gameplay confusing and slow and not fun. Now any avionics set at the start of the mission will remain active for the duration of said mission. The next section of Railjack will be the payload, and this section will show the necessary items we have for our Railjack, and these items will need to be crafted using Railjack resources. We'll need to build the fire extinguisher, flux energy that is needed to use avionics, dome charges that are needed for the forward artillery, and munitions that is needed for Railjack weapons. These will be needed in order to use the systems in missions, and they can be crafted mid-mission. especially by the soon-to-be-mentioned Engineer. These items will have a build time, but on stream it was showed to be 30 seconds for the Extinguisher, and as I mentioned earlier, that's work in progress. The next section after that is Intrinsics, and this screen is for personal account progression of Empyrean, where we'll choose a class to invest intrinsic points into. This screen will have a respect option, but from what was mentioned on stream, that won't be available at launch. These classes will provide bonuses such as new maneuvers, abilities, and stat reductions for things like collision damage. They will work for you, even when you aren't host and are playing with other players. There are 4 in total that will come on launch, those being Tactician, Piloting, Gunnery, and Engineering. There will be a 5th that is for the NPC crew system, but that will not be coming with the launch of Empyrean, hence why they said what they did about solo play. The final tab on our Railjack will be Customization. Here we can rename the Railjack, apply decals, skins, adjust the wear and tear, and apply colours for both the interior and exterior. As for Empyrean matchmaking to join a Railjack mission for public players, it will be available once you have acquired an Archwing, and there will be a tab that appears in the star chart, and upon clicking it, it will open the Empyrean star chart under the Join a Crew prompt. Selecting any node will search for an open crew on said node. As for how you host a match, you start the mission from your personal Railjack's navigation. There will be a free flight node that doesn't launch a mission, and there will also be a number of location nodes around Earth. The missions at these locations will be determined by the space layout that gets generated, and the space layout may have guaranteed locations such as the Galleon or asteroid base or more. The extinguisher for when the ship is damaged will act similar to the mining tool, as shown on screen. A spectator mode will be available by pressing L on your keyboard. This will bring up a display where you can select a person to spectate, but you'll also be able to cast Warframe specific abilities anywhere on the ship by selecting yours or other players' Warframe abilities in this screen, and then selecting a location on your ship. Doing so will execute the ability, as shown on screen with Vauban's Orbital Strike. Commands on this screen will also be available by selecting a small icon next to the player's name and selecting the command. Doing so will make Cephalon Psi appear on the player's screen with the selected command. The Railjack will have different damage types to what we've had for years, and while on stream the Railjack failed to die and regenerated health multiple times, but Rebecca followed up on Twitter stating that wasn't because of the usual god mode they use, but due to a bugged mod, Auxiliary Hull, stating, "When we do enter death, you have 1 minute to fix your ship from catastrophic failure. There is no instant failing." The team had also stated on stream that if everyone is on the ship when it explodes, it will be a full party wipe. Sheldon mentioned that he had also been playing solo using the invisible ability, but based on the information shared, we'll have to acquire it first in order to use it. Syndicate and NPC crew members, Squad Link, Modular Archwing will not be coming with a launch of Empyrean. Steve shared some Empyrean work in progress videos, and they are playing now on screen. The caption of this clip was, "Perhaps more relevant to your interests, work in progress of tuning ship maneuvers." Now, a player in relation to this tweet asked if the ship would have a smaller hitbox or a rearview mirror for strafing around asteroids, and Steve replied, "Great question. I shumped it a bit, making the ship's collision smaller and symmetrical to avoid rotations getting you snagged, and trying to be permissive about, I think I can fly in there." Now, another player had shared that they prefer to have inertia and less fanciful maneuvers, and Steve said that the Railjack is not going for the sim feeling like Elite Dangerous, and that it would be tuned very tight, high drag, and counter acceleration. Now, more Kuvalich talk was had in this dev stream. I will share the clips because if I was to say it, there would be a very angry and frustrated undertone. So let's not do that.
All right, so for liches, we have a lot of people that have the Old Blood update that think the flavor of them killing you versus you killing them is the antithesis of what liches are. So we'll start the conversation on the framing of liches. So you get your Parazon, you have your Requiems, you down your lich, you go in for the stab, and the Requiem is wrong, and then you die. But the lich also dies and goes away and gets stronger. Do we have any plans to change your consequence in that phase?
We don't have any plans for that, no?
Yeah.
Nope.
All right, so right now,
Nope.
yeah.
Surprise question.
Yeah, and
Surprise question.
I'm
hip eating shit. But let me talk about this other thing over here.
Well, it's live, so players
I
are talking
understand it's
about
live,
what's live,
but
of course. But I
at the
think
moment-
Yeah, I think the feedback I saw was why isn't it 76 days to kill a lich?
yes, that was the
And-
Tennocon thing. that
And
we-
why, which is part of the Tennocon UI, and why can the lich beat me up so badly?
Yes.
And of course, we didn't think that you'd want to wait 76 days to get a lich weapon, cool lich weapon. So we shortened that loop dramatically.
Yes.
And it did not work out, we thought, to have it going on and dragging on. And so we tightened that loop. And in terms of why does the lich punch you out when you fail, one of the things we discovered when we did the finishers for the liches was it was very interesting or unique for the game that there'd be someone that would kick your butt
Yep.
for
Yeah.
a change, because you kill everyone.
Yes.
And so that's why we did that inversion. So there you go.
That's not to say that there isn't changes to the system coming.
Yep.
Yep.
It's just right now that is not our focus. Obviously, with the giant pile of stuff that we just showed,
Yep.
Yep.
that's our current focus.
Yes.
Probably when we regroup in the new year, it'll be addressing those things.
And I think one thing that's been pretty popular around the office
And
is
more
just
factions, yeah.
Yeah,
I was just going to say
more factions.
the system's going to always it's going to be looked at for a while because of the faction
Yeah.
expansion.
And I mean,
as
if we
well,
make the
so-
Corpus liches, maybe we'll make them last 79 days.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely, yeah.
people can have their cake and eat it too. Your 79-day liches will be Corpus. And then I think one other big thing that was passed around was just Paladino having a role in this system with the ribbon fragments. And you can go to Paladino once a week to bring your ribbon fragments, which come from the Requiem relics. Maybe once a week you can also go to her and she will dispel a lich for you or something of that nature. So if you got a lich you don't want, once a week you can go to her and she'll get rid of it or something along those lines. Those are just some of the conversations we're having. That's not a guarantee on the feature. That's just based on the feedback, what we're seeing. So
Yeah, and I think we will address that feedback, and
Yep.
we will look at the system, especially when it has a longer term to kind of sit.
Yep.
But it's not going to be before the year end.
Yep, that's fine. I think that's kind of what we've told our players as well. Is right now we don't expect anything super major, but trading's live, so at the very least you can get exactly what you're looking for now through trading. If another player has it for you, to the long-term plans to have converted liches as NPCs when we release that down the road. Today,
during
during
testing.
testing, Dave got his converted lich
To
on
come
his
in and
To help them out, yeah.
Yeah, with
save his boarding party, so it was
Yeah.
quite entertaining.
yeah.
Also, in relation to that Lich talk, early in the week, Rebecca had responded to one of the numerous upvoted posts about the Liches on the subreddit that questioned why the Liches don't actually die and come back, and Rebecca's response was similar to that of the Devstream clips. The lore choices, flow choices are pretty much set. Pacing is up for review, but the Lich True Immortality plus Parazon Requiem flow is not changing as far as I know. For those who care about experimental flight for Archwings, that will not be returning, as Steve said they want to make one good mode instead of multiple ones. On Reddit, D.E. Dean shared this clear image from the promotional material for the Devstream. For those that want it, a link is in the description. Devstream 135 went live on the 21st of December, and the information from it follows. Please keep in mind I have not played, read, or covered anything Empyrean since its release on PC at the Game Awards. First off, they said Empyrean resources will have the resource drop counts increased instead of recipe requirements changed due to ongoing player crafting, but it may be revised later. Archwing usage stats were shown and are on screen, plus Scott commented that Archwing will go through a major redesign focused towards Railjack combat, saying there will be a hammer, a nerf, buffs, and changes for everything, starting fresh. He also added they have been talking about taking the original Archwings and busting them into modular pieces and shipping everything out as one giant modular set, with players acquiring the modular parts for their currently owned Archwings if the system gets released. He had also said raids in response to a question about making Empyrean squad sizes higher to 8, while Jeff and Steve mentioned squadling. The team said the following in regards to Empyrean's random roll parts and whatnot.
So all the gear I have, any of them do the job. A lot of people have raised a lot of questions about the bonus RNG stats. So the way that has kind of shaped out in the community is, the core attributes are generally the same, but then there's the added bonus RNG stats on them. And that's kind of going two ways. People that are like, I play other games, RNG, this is just how looter shooters work. You play your other popular games, and then others are like, well, why start now DE? So I don't know if we have any sort of philosophies or approaches to adding these.
It's funny. I mean, the first version of Warframe had mods with random stats.
Yes.
If you've been with us long enough, you might remember the Dead Space UI. And there were a few reasons we took that out. One of them was database storage.
Right.
People would hoard their mods, and so we'd run out of hard drive space on our database. I don't know. What do you think? I think obviously it's a balance between I have no reason to play because I've got everything.
Yep.
And the converse is I feel like I can't get the best stuff and relax.
Yeah.
So I think we're toying with those things in Warframe. You saw us do that with the Lich weapons as well. So it's not like it's a completely new foreign concept to
I think we just need to look
Warframe.
at the drop rates on some of the random stuff.
We need to look at the
If
drop
it's really
rates.
low, it's probably too low,
Yep.
and we just need to maybe buff it up a bit.
Yep,
But-
and attribute transfer to kind of make sure that people aren't getting, or making it easier for you to swap once you've found something you like.
Yes. I think it's not mandatory, which is a
It
part-
isn't mandatory,
Yeah.
but I know, depending on the type of player you are, you sometimes feel those things are mandatory anyway.
Yeah.
So our intention is not to put the thumb screws on you, but to give you a little bit more evergreen rewards here. And again, when we get back from the break, we'll be taking a look at the resource balances as well as those things as well.
In response to players requesting a larger vacuum in space, Scott said they'll slowly increase it and monitor it, and that ideally it isn't painful to pick up stuff. And Steve added that they know people get a little impatient when a pilot is meticulous at getting all the resources, but they think it's kind of neat that you can kind of clean up in the end of the mission. But they don't want that to be super time consuming. In talks about refinement, Steve said he is not sure if they should kill refining as it's supposed to be a bonus, but the bookkeeping stuff when transitioning missions, he agrees should be automatic. He also thanked players for being patient and providing quality of life feedback. Steve said that they will be looking at the in-play system of only the host being able to launch missions in 2020. They showed a graph of intrinsic choices that's up on the screen and said if you're at rank 10, please get some sleep, don't burn out in a few days, and take breaks. Scott also added the following, and he said, or we will cap gains. Steve said that players have said that wreckage repair drones feel icky for the game and that it isn't their intent, and that they take a lot of pride in having a fair monetization scheme and a fair balance between trading time for money. It was something they had some trepidation about and they've discussed a bit, but he is not saying they will rip it out, but it will be something they touch up. But he did continue by saying that they did start giving it away as an award as well for free. They are looking at it and agree that it's not where it needs to be. Valkyrie Deluxe skin is in the works by Liger. Scott said he doesn't see why not. To the question about making wreckage tradable and in progress wreckage cancelling will be coming soon. The best-selling domestic drone since release was Mood. Ash Deluxe is at the low poly work in progress state. Garuda Deluxe is working in-game, and Ivara Deluxe will be good to ship in January. There are plans to make another new Zephyr Deluxe, separate to that of the previous one shown whenever the hell that was. A new Pablo female Warframe is in the works, and only the animations were shown on that stream and are on screen now. Obviously the mesh is not the Warframe. This frame kicks around balls like a hacky sack and will be a tech frame with devices according to Jeff. Now that concludes the Devstreams for 2019 with 135.